Showtimes, visit fathomevents.com.
Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. We've set aside our previously scheduled programming right now in order to pay tribute to the acclaimed documentary filmmaker and friend of TCM, Albert Maysles, who passed away on March 5th at the age of 88. Ironically, it was just 2 days after we finished shooting the introductions to several of his films. Now, originally, Albert himself was going to sit down with me to talk about documentaries that he'd made with his brother and partner David Maysles, but then Albert's health took a bad turn and he wasn't able to do it. So he asked if we would mind if his good friend and fellow documentarian Barbara Koppel would join me in his place. We said, of course not, and that's exactly what happened. The night of the programming was intended to air this coming May. We decided with his passing to bring it to you much earlier in his honor. So right now, here's a salute to the great work of Albert Maysles and his brother David. Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. Thanks so much for joining us. For the next few hours, we're going to highlight the career of two unique and talented directors, Albert and David Maysles, brothers whose contributions to the documentary genre have cemented their place in film history and inspired many documentarians today. And joining me to discuss their films is herself quite a legend among documentary filmmakers, two-time Academy Award winner Barbara Koppel. Thanks for being here, Barbara.
Thank you.
So good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, the first documentary Barbara and I are going to introduce premiered in 1975. It's about the lives of Edith Beale and her daughter, Edith Jr. If the names aren't familiar, they are the aunt and cousin of former First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. And the movie is about their lives, but the lives of these two very interesting, very unusual women at their home on Long Island in New York, in the very Tony area known as East Hampton. The movie is called Grey Gardens. I remember being knocked out by this movie when I first saw it because it was a subject I knew nothing about. How do you feel about this film? And
Oh, I just thought that it was a masterpiece of a film. It was almost like a theater performance with mother and daughter in this house that was coming apart with raccoons and cats and fleas, and yet these two women really talked about what their lives had been like as we sort of drifted through, you know, old photographs and pictures of them. It was almost like living in fantasy and living in the old days. And I think little Edie said, I can never figure out the line between past and present.
We have to also say that when this came out, this was a subject most people didn't know anything about. They didn't know about these two women or that life and all that, and it was connected to Jackie Kennedy, so it was like a kind of a shocker that Jackie Kennedy's relatives would be living in this kind of squalor in this strange world that they'd created for themselves.
Well,
so it caused a big sensation.
Yeah, I think at one time the place was called unsanitary, and they were going to close it and evict them, and Jackie came in to the rescue and spent $30,000 cleaning it up. But as you will see in the film, it's not really cleaned up. There's holes, all the cement is coming down, but the beauty and the life in there is just tremendous. What the Maysles brothers did to capture and really let us into a world that we would have never known is just remarkable.
Yes, and it had a life after this, because it did a Broadway play with Christine Ebersole and Elizabeth Wilson.
And also
then,
an HBO movie with
Drew
Jessica
Barrymore.
Lange, and and it won an Emmy.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm so glad you're here to talk about this. It means a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Let's have a look at it right now. Here, from 1975, a story that was remade, as we say, into a 2009 HBO film starring Drew Barrymore and Jessica Lange. Here's Albert and David Maysles' Grey Gardens.